like TV. So today, Sue and I are going to talk about letting go of outcomes and expectations. So, because of what we are experiencing in our current time, it is very important for us to have, Zen mind or align ourselves with 0 point field. Being neutral is very important. So, and then I think 7 years ago, it's not that I spoke with my guide directly through other person. The person was talking about one of my biggest lesson I had to go through is drop all expectation in life. And I was kind of pissed off at that statement because the person who was supposedly channeling my higher self didn't sound very loving, was very like some teacher who are kind of like not nice, just they tell you what to do.
Yeah, strict.
Yeah. So my one of my mentor, Richard Bartlett, was saying there's always higher than one you have. So if you don't like higher self, create higher than what you have. So that's what I did in Matrix Energetics. But anyhow, that's how pissed I was because there was no loving Jesus-like sound in this transmission I had. It was like, what the fuck is this, But um, there was a truth. Even like this person might be contacting with my lower self or ego self, there was truth into that statement because when you are having expectation in your life, and then when your expectation doesn't happen, the timing or whatever in the relationship or whatever, it doesn't happen, then you're gonna like start feeling the disappointment, and you also start losing trust in yourself, your ability, or your spiritual team or higher self or universe. So I myself think it's a good idea to drop the expectation and the kind of stay present and see what happens. That's how I am operating nowadays. But how about you, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to add to what you just said because I think it was like the complete package, but maybe I'll just try and kind of say it in another way, which is we all have hopes and dreams. I mean, I think we do.
Yeah.
Most of us do. Some people are super satisfied. They have a certain way of life. They're super satisfied with their way of life and they're not really looking to change it. And that's fine too.
Hmm.
But for us that are like actively trying to increase our consciousness and we explore, new concepts and we want things for our lives. We want to shift our lives in certain ways. We've been taught since we were born to have an expectation about everything. If you eat the right food, you'll have good health. If you study in school, you'll get good grades and you'll get a good job. If you behave and listen to your parents, you'll have an easy growing up. I have to laugh at that one because, oh my God, that's so false. But sorry, I cracked myself up.
It
But
is funny. It is funny.
so really, haven't we all been taught to have expectations about just about everything? And if you buy the best clothing, the most expensive clothing, it's the best clothing and it's going to last forever. That's not always true. So we've sort of been set up for a long time to have expectations of things in life. Um, and even behavior, if someone's really, really nice to you, they must truly like you. And that's an expectation.
Mm.
And how many times have we found that to be not true? Especially if it's not somebody you know, if they're really, really nice to you, they're either Southern or they want you to buy something. And I know that I'm being a little glib right now, but the point being, Everybody has expectations at some point in their life, and maybe most of their lives or all of their lives. And then we wonder, why does life seem like it's just knocking us on the chin all the time? And I think, like you said very well, that it's because we have an expectation of a certain outcome. Um, Life is going to be whatever it's going to be. And I certainly encourage folks to definitely set goals and take steps towards what you're trying to manifest for yourself. But I think, like Erica said, it's just easier on yourself because if you put expectations on a particular outcome, that puts a lot of pressure on you too, to produce instead of just being. And being is more about flow. Um, Producing and expecting and having, certain things, certain goals all lined up on this date and this time I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this on this date and time. And then next week I'm going to do, that's not flowing. That's just kind of forcing. And if we try to force any energy, um, sometimes we may get what we're trying to accomplish, and other times, we're just not going to get it no matter how hard we try. And that's frustrating because you say, hey, wait a minute, I put the time in, I did the work. Why am I not getting this outcome? It doesn't make sense. I've been told all my life that all I have to do is take these steps and it's going to happen for me. Um, I mean, what do you think?
Well, in my experience, I was kind of like, when I was in a relationship, um, I was kind of expected to spend a certain way on the weekend. And then when that didn't happen, I was told I'm not appreciated,
Mm,
you know? And in a way, that experience kind of opened up my eyes that if I'm not making up how my Saturday should be or my Sunday should be in my head, and if didn't come true, if I just go along with whatever I'm experiencing, right? Then I be less upset because whatever the stuff I was expecting didn't happen, right?
hmm
So I learned, I'm not saying it to be, of course, well, like what you said, it's a good idea to have a goal. It's good idea to have dream and hopes and stuff like that. But um, when it comes to daily life, let's say, if you have like a really, really certain way, like, okay, on this weekend, I'm expecting to, someone, call me and we're going to go out, blah, blah, blah. And if it didn't happen, you're going to get really, really bad time because your hope or your expectation didn't come true. So I kind of learned to not to expect, um, even though Abraham Hicks is saying like you gotta have expectation, blah blah blah. But in my case, in my life, it didn't really work in that way.
Well,
So
how about we replace the word expectation with intention?
yeah, intention is fine, but
Yeah, it's like a really whole different energy, right? That
it's
word.
it's a different thing though. Intention is something like, okay, you have a life goal in like how you want to, let's say, accomplish in career wise. That's your intention. You set the intention, right? But expectation is more like, it's not just a different word. It's like completely different thing because you
The
can
energy is different.
it is, but you can set the intention of something as far as something you will be doing, like your career, your, you know, something you are actively influencing, right? But if you are expecting someone to do something or expecting certain outcome from other than yourself,
I
that's
have a good example. I'm going to clear this right up.
uh huh.
Before we moved to Florida, a close friend of mine who is she kind of goes throughout her days, I mean, every day, like we can set a loose plan to meet up, but with the understanding that if either one of us that particular day doesn't feel like getting together, then it's just going to be like, okay, well, we'll see you next time. Um, and that keeps our relationship really tight because, okay, so we were leaving for Florida and it was really the last Saturday um, that I had open to do anything. And we had planned for weeks to get together on that Saturday. And then the Saturday came. And I
Mhm.
knew the night before she wasn't gonna come. I just you know how we are with our spidey senses, and you and me and, our friends, and I knew
Mhm.
it wasn't gonna happen. So but I didn't have this expectation that it absolutely had to happen just because
Yeah.
it was my last Saturday.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Because even though I've moved to Florida, I didn't move to Pluto, so it's not like we can't ever visit, right?
Yeah.
And the interesting part of this story is that, it actually worked out really well because whatever went on with her that day, and I'm not gonna share that information because that's personal to her, but, um, something went on that day. Um, I needed that extra time, and I didn't even realize it because I had saved only X amount of time to put these things away in my house or pack them in boxes, and
Mhm.
I had way more than I thought. And I couldn't believe the amount of shit I had, but anyway, so I spent that time that we would have been getting together to go ahead and pack that stuff, and it was a lot less stressful for me, being the next couple of days, the movers were gonna come, so it really was a relief. Now her friends, when she told them that she didn't meet me, that she didn't even call.
Mhm.
She didn't I mean, not until, I don't know, maybe 3 days later.
Mhm. Mhm.
Her friends were like, "Are you kidding me? And she still talks to you? You just totally blew her off. You know she's moving, you just totally blew her off, and she's not even upset about it." And she's like, "No, that's not how me and Sue are."
Mhm. Mhm.
They couldn't they couldn't fathom in their minds why I wouldn't be upset by that. And that's why, because there was no expectation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
That's what
see,
I was trying to explain to
that's what
you.
I think you were saying.
Yeah, setting intention and expectation is different because if you expect your friend to meet with you and you totally believed in that meeting and you already kind of thought about how meeting gonna be ahead and then on that day she blew you off, like you're gonna get really, really upset, right?
Yeah, and if I put all this emotion and anticipation, and it's okay to anticipate something, but I mean, have you ever gone to a party that you've been anticipating for a really long time and it was a total stinker? And you're
Yeah.
like, geez, this was not even close to the fun time I thought I was going to have. Like New Year's Eve comes to mind, or a Christmas
Uh-huh.
party or something. And
Mhm.
then, um, so I just say intend, like, yeah, we intend to meet at this time on this day, and we intend to have lunch together, and we intend to share time together. And then, but I don't expect it.
Yeah.
And
Like
if you
it's
do
not
that
like
with your career, if you do that with your family members, I think that saves relationships too. Because when we put expectations on other people to meet our plan,
yeah,
it it sets us up for having, hurt and upset feelings if it doesn't happen.
it
And I
is.
mean, sometimes you get a migraine, or sometimes you just don't freaking feel like it, and you don't even know why, and you can't begin to explain to your friend why you don't feel like it, but you don't feel like it.
Uh-huh. And also, like, even if the QFS thing, we all have expectation of until what day it should happen, whatever. And then I'm pretty sure some of the people are waiting for all this announcement or information from those gurus or whatever. And then, once you let that go, means it's coming. You find out some manner. You don't have to glue yourself into the information from those people. And then, once you're not so attached to it anymore, and
I
it's the
couldn't
same
agree
thing.
more.
Yeah. it's like the same thing, because if you expect it, okay, like it has to happen in 2 weeks, and then everybody's saying, oh, it's gonna happen in 2 weeks, and then in 2 weeks it didn't happen, you get so upset about it, right?
Yep.
And then if that happened 10 more times, you started to believe, stop believing it in it.
Yeah, or you get pissed and you start saying things to people like they're fakes or they're frauds or they're this or they're that, and then everybody's arguing and we get more separation going on, and it's just kind of counterintuitive to the energy that we're trying to harness to make it
Yeah,
happen.
if
So we're
you,
actually preventing the energy from coming because we're so busy being pissed about it.
yeah, or upset because it didn't fulfill your expectations. So it's a good idea to hope. Like sometimes I tell myself internally, I wish this gonna happen. I just say it, and then I just let it go, and that happens, because
Yep.
I didn't put any other expectation or any other heavy energy, or I didn't even like, you know um putting some kind of energy to make it happen. I just want to say, oh, I wish this gonna happen, then let it go. Then it happens.
One of the things I do know because I that's happened to me too, and it's a really beautiful thing. Um, the other thing I think I know, and I want to get your take on this, is that I really, really believe in divine timing.
Yeah.
And, that whole saying, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. If it isn't, it won't. I agree with that too. It's kind of irritating to hear for some people, especially if they're struggling. But
That's true. That's
so,
true.
really, that's the last thing you want to hear when you're struggling or you're
Yeah.
you're having a real hard time with something. You don't want someone telling you that because you just want to slap them. But anyway, I think that if we can maybe really give the idea of divine timing a shot, maybe that can help us develop the patience that it takes to not have expectations. So I know that I've been feeling for some time, for example, that it's been time for me to leave the job that I'm doing.
Hmm.
Um, so I've been resisting it because it's safe, it's comfortable. I'm used to this amount of money, blah blah blah, right?
Hmm.
And then it just got to a point where it was so uncomfortable that I was like, oh, I'm so bored out of my mind. I'm going to lose my mind if I don't find something interesting to do. And then you were saying to me, and Archangel Michael was saying to me, when are you going to do this thing that you really want to do? And I know that it's I believe that it's divine timing that I needed to wait until the move happened, that we got settled. I had a little bit of chance to catch my breath, and now I'm ready for something new. And then
Hmm.
what happens? My good friend in Sweden is also ready, and now we've gotten started doing this work. I've gone to part time instead of full time. We get to, but the joy I'm feeling with this decision. Now, if I had forced myself into doing this work before I was really ready, I think the timing would have been off and maybe we wouldn't be putting in our best work. It could have worked out at some point. I don't know that for a fact because I didn't. I waited, but I could just feel in my soul that it wasn't time yet.
Yeah.
Even though I was bored out of my mind, even though I was like, I had you and Archangel Michael and other people going, "When are you gonna do that thing you do? When are you just gonna start?" You know? So, I is it gonna be uncomfortable not having that extra money? I don't know. It We'll see. I don't think so. I mean, I have everything I need and most of the things I want. I don't know. I can't even think of anything I really want except maybe another car at some point because we share one, but that's okay. I
Mhm.
mean, just means we communicate more. I don't really go anywhere that much, but I'm having so much fun now
That's
that I took
important.
that step. And I don't have an expectation about the money it's going to bring. I know it will. What we're doing now, the project I'm doing now, it will bring money, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it's out of joy.
Mhm.
And and I think if and when you can you started doing something new and different, which has brought you a lot of joy. And there was no promise of the money at the other end of it. I mean, there was hope that there was going to be more profit to it, but you kind of did it because you were having fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was told, it might be a good idea. You also gave me idea as well. And then I was thinking, sometimes you don't really notice when you're bored on certain things because you're so used to doing things. And then that's become your daily routine in a way. So when you're looking at it, it's stable, it's kind of comfortable. But when you look at the soul perspective, your soul is so bored.
Mm.
And then I was waiting for my new beginning. And then it was like, oh, last 4 months I keep on hearing from tarot card reading, new beginning is here. And then it's not really there, like physically in a
Yeah, like where the
tangible
hell is
way.
it?
Yeah. And then now I'm having new beginning. And then once you jump into new beginning, it's kind of like a scary because you don't know what's going to happen because it's new. I mean, there's a reason why they call it new because you haven't done it before. You
Right.
know? So you don't know what to expect, and then it's kind of like a letting go of control, but things happen in divine timing. I I kind of got the proper guidance from you, my other friend, and then Sheila, and then I was like, okay, maybe this is the timing. And then something told me to look her up. So something is probably my team, right?
Mhm.
And even though I'm a clairaudient, and then I can supposedly, not supposedly, I can talk with my guide and everything. I mean, when it comes to divine timing, they want you to rely on your gut feeling instead of tell you, hey, this is divine timing. Go look at Sheila. They don't tell
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah. They
that.
want you to catch the internal knowing that the
Yeah,
time is right. Yeah.
yeah, and then you do that, and then kind of everything starts clicking, and then you want to know, okay, this is the timing.
Yeah.
But it's important for us to be very flexible, not having expectation like, oh, if I do this, this gonna happen. Then your flow gonna be very legit. But if you kind of like jump in because it's a time and see what's gonna happen with a little bit of curiosity and also trusting the universe and trusting your spiritual team, um, when you have trust, this is something we probably should talk about in the future. When we have trust, we no longer need to be in control of everything. Of course,
And
you know.
you mentioned the QFS earlier. That's a good point. I thought to myself that this project I'm working on now that I couldn't possibly do it until QFS happened. That I needed that money that I've invested, to flip the switch and have all this money, then I can let go of the
Mhm.
other thing I was doing that bored me. And then I realized, you know, but do I? And I mean, if I don't just jump out of it totally and I go to part-time, I can still do this other thing and have plenty of time. And then I was able to let go of QFS. Like you said, you get to the point where when you just trust and know something's going to happen, I know it's going to happen eventually. Um,
Yeah,
and I'm willing to par back, spending on things that I don't need and that kind of thing. But I'm having so much fun. I'm not even going to miss those things that I would normally spend money on because I was bored. So, like, see how that weird circle, like you end up, if you don't go for what you're joyful, what's bringing you joy and what's interesting to you and fascinating to you, but that timing, because I switched from believing the expectation that QFS was going to happen already, so I was waiting. But and then I realized, "Oh, it's not gonna happen right now," and, that's okay because the timing is now. I felt it internally. The timing is now because now my partner who I'm doing this work with is ready as well. It's like it flows
Yeah.
and it feels so good, and I don't even care that the QFS hasn't happened, where before I was thinking, "Well, I can't do this work until it happens." That expectation of I wouldn't have enough money, and I was actually preventing myself from doing something until I let go of that expectation, then I'm just free.
Yeah, because like when we talk about some of the very successful entrepreneur, they're saying like you can make stuff happen without money. They are not talking about leverage, right? Sometimes they do, but whole point is I was in the same boat. Like, okay, once I have a certain kind of capital, I can hire actors and directors, and I can create, personal development product or other movies or TV shows and other things. And then I was kind of like not doing what I really wanted to do, but now I'm doing it. I started creating that kind of thing at where I am at, so not like 100% like what I envision yet, because I can hire actors to do that what I want to do right now, but I'm doing it on my own with on my level. And then I'm like kind of embarked into that journey and started my own beginning, like new beginning to embarking my, goal, like first, second step or something like that, instead of waiting for it. Because if you're waiting for it, what are you going to end up manifesting is another waiting timeline.
More waiting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because once you start something, anything new which is related to what you really want to do, then that's going to lead to something. That's going to lead to something else. Then everything going to have snowballing effect, and eventually you're going to get to where you want to be. But to the path you're gonna go through, don't have expectation like, oh, I'm gonna go through point A to B and then go to Z and the stuff like that. If you have those legit method of which path you have to go through, it's gonna stop you, and it's gonna stop your spiritual team or your higher self to give you route C, and then
And
you
it could
don't
be a
see.
much more fun route,
Mhm.
the one that you're not anticipating if you just flow instead of expecting.
Yeah, you don't see the route, so it's very important to be not to have a drop expectation, but have set the intention and start proceeding that way without legit plan.
Yeah, if we get too tied up on the outcome and then it doesn't turn out the way we think it's going to, that's our own fault because we were disappointed, right? We had the expectation. I think that was one of the spiritual concepts that I've learned over many years that took me a long time to grasp onto because I resisted. It was like, well, what do you mean you can't have Everybody has expectations. And what's the point in bothering if you don't expect a certain outcome? I had very limited understanding, like how we're talking now. I just wasn't even close to this point. But I can share that the more you look for clues of things working out, evidence of things working out in spite of your best efforts. Sometimes you have a goal and you proceed toward it, and you have this expectation that it's going to be this way, and then it ends up being this way, and you're actually really happy that it was this way. That's the kind of evidence I'm talking about. And I think if you guys really take some time and think about things in your life, you might be able to find some examples of that happening.
Mhm.
Um, there's a whole book called The Road Less Traveled, that's about this sort of thing. Um, it's that going through your guided intuition versus, okay, somebody told me if I did this, then that would happen. Really, life has a couple roadmaps that probably our soul set out for us, gives us clues, but nothing's set in stone. Everything's variable. Nothing stands still for very long. Everything's fluid. And if you don't go with the fluidity of it, then you're fighting. And like Erica said, if you get into that waiting for something to happen energy, then all you do is create more waiting, and it's just not a lot of fun.
No. And you feel like you're stuck into that thing forever, right?
Mhm.
So even if energetically people say, "Oh, it's happening," like physically, nothing is really going on, and that's where that's not the way you want to be. So I kind of told one of my clients, start doing something new. Doesn't matter like that is related to what you want to do. Like start doing something new. So you're gonna bring the new energy
Yeah,
into.
I mean, even if it's like starting an ant farm or, the weather gets better, you wanna put some plants out there. I mean, whatever it is, just a little something new, right?
Yeah.
Maybe start doing crossword puzzles or Sudoku or, just change up your routine a little bit.
Hmm. I think one of those manifestation stuff I did a long time ago, that was one of the suggestion, like take a different route to go home or go to somewhere. Because
Mhm.
people tend to use same route to go, your house to your work or something like that.
Hey, I got a fun one. Eat dessert before dinner.
Oh yeah.
What the hell, right? I heard the French do it. Why don't we start doing it? It's more fun. But
Oh yeah.
just something to change things up. I mean, if you get bored like I was, oh my gosh. I just got to the point where it was like, okay, I really just need to start doing something. And it's a lot I'm having a lot of fun. And it's only the first week I started doing it.
Hmm. And then also, even when you're having fun, you do get tired too.
Yeah.
So when you get tired, don't force yourself to keep on going, especially when you're ladies. We're not made to that way. So make sure to stop doing what you love and be lazy.
Rejuvenate. Refill that cup. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, things you love gonna be waiting for you. So when you feel like doing it again, do it again. Until like your tank filled up.
And for God's sakes, take the time to smell the roses. If you decided you're going to make a change and you've carved out some time and space, mental space to do that thing, enjoy it. Don't rush through it. I had to tell myself that this morning. I was on my way to go do some errand that I was doing, and normally I'd be sitting at my desk doing my boring job, and I was just thinking how great it is that I wasn't sitting at my desk doing my boring job, but I was in a hurry.
Mhm.
I said to myself, "Oh, I left way too late." And then I was like, my guide said, "What are you rushing for? You chose this, enjoy it." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, yeah, good point. I mean, the sun's shining, the weather's beautiful. I'm taking this car ride to go do this thing."
Hmm.
So I did. I enjoyed it.
That's a
Really
good
took it
attitude.
in. Even the music that came in on the radio. Yes, I still listen to the radio. I'm an older person. What can I tell you? Um, but every song that came on, I derive joy from it and enjoy the moments. People, right?
Awesome.
If
So
you
do
can
you have
drop it.
any last tips for our viewers?
Hmm. Well, I've said a lot already, so I think I'm complete. How about you?
Just take it easy, go with the flow.
Flow.
Yeah.
Love that word.
Yeah, so Sue and I gonna bring a more interesting topic next week, and then we see you guys next time. Please share, like, subscribe, and thanks. Bye.
Bye.